and welcome to our first ever live presentation of the year, In-Venue Mobile Ordering and Why is the Best Thing Since Sliced Bread. We'd like to call it that way, and we hope that you will think the same after this session. So before we get started, just some housekeeping things. We will be sending out a full recording and this presentation deck, so you don't have to worry about missing anything, and you can feel free to share with your colleagues or whoever you think will benefit from this. And during the presentation, at any time, please submit your questions using the chat button below. There will be a bonus because you registered for the webinar. You will also receive a free ebook that's on Guide to In-Venue Mobile Ordering in 2021. This will arrive in your email inbox after the webinar. So keep an eye out for that. So quick introduction about me and my colleague here, Drake. So I'm Isabella. I'm VP of Marketing at FanFood. So if you've been receiving emails from us, it's probably coming from our team. And since we're talking about bread today, just thought I would share that my favorite bread is soft pretzel. What about you, Drake?
We were joking about this earlier. You can tell who the creative person is here with Isabella coming up with our nice concession related soft pretzel while I have boring Ezekiel bread. But that is my favorite bread. And also kind of going back to the beginning, my name is Drake. Thrilled to be here with you guys. By title and definition, I'm one of our senior account managers. So sort of falling under our customer success department or branch. Largely what that means is I am the primary point of contact for many of our new partners, especially as we get folks onboarded and talk about continued success and best practices and product and feature updates as things continue forward.
Drake is the expert here, and I'm so excited to be learning from him today, along with you guys. So a quick word about FanFood. We are the quickest and easiest in-venue mobile ordering and digital order management platform for venues, sports entertainment venues, live event venues, or any sort of facilities for that matter. So we do have a very powerful platform that can enable pre-ordering, order now, pickup, delivery, and many more. We are always commission free, and currently we're serving at over 260 locations globally with footprints across 3 different continents. Here are some of our partner highlights. As I mentioned, we cover a wide spectrum of markets, be it colleges, like we have UNC, University of Tennessee, University of South Carolina, North Texas. Entertainment, we have a bunch of, we're in 30% of all driving theaters in the country. And we're also at Bird Ogden Arena, which is a live concert hall and live event venue. And even with hospitality, we serve at SLS Lux, which is a hotel. We are also at a couple of resorts and many other types of venues. So if you are thinking about what mobile ordering partner to pick, you're in good company if you pick FanFood. So here's today's agenda. We will talk about everything you need to know and think about before implementing mobile ordering. We know that this is top of mind for a lot of venue operators after the pandemic. So we really hope that this live presentation will be helpful for you. So first things first, before implementing mobile ordering, what are some things you should consider? Drake here outlined a great framework of thinking that covers why, who, what, when, and how. I'm gonna give the floor to Drake so that he can elaborate on what that all means.
Yes, and to preface, I am just such a visual person, so I have to go back to my elementary school days of our classic who, what, when, where, why, and how to think about, what is there to think about? What do we need to consider as we're looking for a mobile partner and just rolling out something like mobile, taking on some digital initiatives and activities. So starting with our why, which is important, identifying our why. Why are we doing this? Why are we considering it? You can see the cadence set by our bullet points there, starting at the top, safe and convenient customer experience. This one is obvious. There's no shock here. When fans return, they want to make sure, and they are asking for a safer, more convenient, and in some cases, a premium experience getting back into our ballparks and our venues. I thought it was interesting. It was a Sports Business Journal survey. I know there's been a plethora of surveys that have come out over the course of last year, but this one in particular quoted that 40% of fans are wanting some form of contactless payment for concessions when they get back into our building. And that's among other things, initiatives like mask wearing, sanitizing stations, temperature checks, staggered ingress, egress, digital tickets. But the main idea there is the safe and convenient customer experience. And I think it's twofold too. It's a safe experience and environment for your staff and your teams as you guys return. Reducing overhead spending. This is a big one. I actually thought it was really interesting. This comes from one of our partners talking about sort of pre and post implementation of FanFood, or a mobile ordering technology. And what we saw is essentially they had a 4-to-4 ratio, 4 cashiers and 4 food expediters. And what they found is after implementing this touchless, contactless experience, they actually were able to have one person handle or fulfill the same number of orders. So that in its own right is a great success. But what was interesting here, and the venue, credit to them, took it a step further and began repurposing some of that additional staff. So being smarter with how they're staffing. And we'll actually see this lead into our what even. When we have extra staff that we can repurpose, that could also influence or affect the direction, the decision-making that we make in what we're offering in itself. Increasing F&B retail revenue. Regardless of the continued vaccine rollout, the efficacy of the vaccine, what we have to look forward to in 2021 is likely continued capacity restrictions. So understanding that we will still be facing those capacity restrictions, we really need to focus on maximizing the revenue in venue. In other words, the folks who are going to be with us on game day or event day. So I think as it relates to something like mobile ordering, certainly talking about increasing or concession per cap, merchandise sales. I think indirectly, this also falls into some of our other engagement activities that we're looking for. Quite frankly, increasing user engagement. Maybe we can tie this into some of our revenue generating through sponsorship activation as well. And then faster speed of service, I think, is a great piggybacker off of reducing overhead spending. When we can do more with less, we're able to serve more customers as well. We can produce more. And I think what's unique here with our speed of service, and Isabella will get this into the next slide, venues that have had a chance to eliminate lines, congregation, change the way they think about their concourse, have been able to rethink their concourse space and better utilize, innovate, or really innovate some of the space that was previously congregated or wasted with lines and waiting in line for more proactive fan engagement when we're able to return. And again, tying into even the sponsorship component, unique activations of some of our partners.
Absolutely. So this is the slide that Drake was mentioning. As you can see, before COVID, these are the sort of the concourse areas we're seeing. The first one was our partner Durham Bulls Athletic Park. Before using FanFood, as you can see, the lines, it was just absolutely crowded. And that's why they used FanFood in order to provide a more convenient service where people can order from their seats for express pickup or in-seat delivery. And this is a high school that we're partnered with. They were also using FanFood to eliminate the congested concession stand problem. But after COVID, while that is still a great value proposition for your customers, be like, hey, here's a more convenient and faster way of ordering food, but now added on to that, this is a safer way of ordering food. After COVID, people are wearing masks, people don't want to be interacting with people, and they don't want to be stuck in the middle of a crowd waiting for their food. So what's the better solution? Having them being able to order from anywhere on their phone within the stadium so that they can have it for pickup or delivery. This really, spaces your fans out and keep them in their seats. Safer, convenient, faster, better for everyone. Now let's move on to the who.
Awesome. And one thing worth noting too, Isabella, that I think I missed on the why, is this idea for some of our partners, even in smaller markets, moving away from cash dependency. And we might have a loftier goal of at some point even going completely cashless in terms of our transactions and the fan and customer experience. So again, something to consider or throw in the bucket when we're thinking about our whys.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that.
Right on. With who, I think, fairly straightforward here. As you see listed, it's who is this service for? One mindset that we preach with our partners, and I think everyone should take on when we are defining our who, is to understand that this does not have to be a one size fits all. In fact, we would actually argue the other side. We want to get very targeted and specific with who is receiving this offering and to what extent. And that part we'll talk a little bit more about with our what and our when. But just as some examples in terms of rollout planning, the who, maybe this is a venue-wide rollout, stadium-wide, ballpark-wide. Maybe it's going to be more focused or targeted to our general admissions, as I would call like an alternative or bleacher seating area. Instead, maybe we'll focus on our premium suite guests or our premium club buyers or high ticket purchase. And then finally, season ticket holders, which is an incredibly important customer base for many of us, of course. One other thing to note with who, and this is very possible, influenced by COVID, is that we need to understand that sometimes when we're defining our who, we may need to listen to or take guidance from local or city governing officials as well. And I mentioned that sort of lastly because it is unique, but what we've seen for some of our partners who were able to activate and be active through 2020 is that the direction or the who and the what that they did or implemented was directly influenced by the city. In some cases saying, you cannot open up your concessions unless you have some form of contactless or touchless ordering for customers and fans. So again, it's just something to consider when we're defining that who.
Yeah, we saw that a lot with school districts in the high school space last year, where the school districts have regulations about not being able to open unless you have cashless concessions. So FanFood really was able to help out with a lot of those schools to bring game days back. So that's totally a valid point. Now, what services do you want to offer? What do we mean by that, Drake?
Yeah, so I think this is my favorite part, just even talking shop, because this is our solution. And I think whether it's FanFood or any mobile ordering technology, we've seen some incredible advancements in this suite of service. So we talk about sort of the original bread and butter mobile or order by phone, looking at express or contactless pickup. Maybe even in-seat delivery based on our venue-defined seating locations and the ability, like we talked about earlier, to repurpose staff as runners or servers as runners. What I think is interesting to note about the in-seat deliveries is one thing we worked on this year is really redefining what in-seat means and almost putting in-seat in quotes. In other words, allowing our partners to deliver to any defined location, whether it's a tabletop, maybe it's a car in the parking lot, or for some of our drive-in partners, like Isabella mentioned, a parking space, a car make and model, really any designated location on premise, like we have listed there. The other idea there, of course, is again, the growth in QR codes, web-based ordering. We've seen some concession stands, which I think we'll continue to see into 2021, take on a grab and go or more pre-packaged format or mindset with a lot of their concession items. Bit of that could involve kiosk ordering as well. So we'll continue to see this suite of service, I think, grow, but also uniquely, allow partners to be able to implement the what to solve their why and for who. The other thing, just mentioning here, tying up the loose ends at the end, order ahead versus order now. So looking at order now, we would generally define as orders that are taking place during the event or during game day. So Drake is a customer, I'm sitting in my seat, I place an order for pickup and I grab it when it's ready. What I think is really interesting to take a closer look at, though, is the order ahead. And it's almost twofold when we talk about order ahead, being defined as a version of day or days in advance ordering, as well as just a scheduled day of pickup or delivery. And when you break that down a little bit further, I think the benefit for venue partners who take advantage of order ahead is, of course, the planning and the inventory tracking control that goes into place. But it also sort of uniquely positions us to, in some cases, influence consumer behavior. So we can think about this when we talk about ingress or egress In other words, getting people in and out of the building. With order ahead, we can start to influence when someone's coming into the building by setting a designated pickup time for their advanced order. Or maybe it's influencing purchase behavior around what were traditionally peak order times, like halftime or breakage in stops in period of play. So there's some unique ways, of course, to use the order ahead. And then premium suite meal package booking is really specific. It is part of our suite of service. But I think really the mentality there, what we're getting at is building on loyalty, the idea of all-inclusive opportunities, utilizing promo codes, a new benefit for us as well, $0 transactions, gamification at some point, so we can build on the idea of loyalty, premium suite package booking, of course, being a piece of that.
Love that. To help you visualize it a little bit more, this is what our app would look like. And as you can see, you can basically customize any field in this. So that includes, whether you want to offer order now, order ahead, they can toggle between. For every concession stand, even you can choose to roll out only pickup or only delivery or both. So all the images and everything, the descriptions, everything's customizable. And when you onboard, you will set everything up together with an account manager like Drake himself. And these are some pictures of our partners who have been using FanFood for a while. So University of South Carolina, this is marking out their pickup location. All these marketing materials can be provided by FanFood. And Durham Bulls offering instant delivery. This is a runner that they hired for that event to be able to bring orders to the fans. And then this is also University of South Carolina, again, marketing support from FanFood team. And also there's a high school with a pickup sign here and marking out express pickup window. So as you can see, a very wide variety of services that each venue can offer. And as Drake said, we believe that every partner is different. And rather than pushing for just one solution for all, we really work with you to make sure you have your customized, to make sure you roll out what makes the most sense for your fans, your customers, and your layout and your team. So that's what we're really trying to go after here. Okay, now we move on to the when.
Awesome. All right, and so I need everyone to bear with me here because I had an epiphany and I want to make sure I can articulate it how I want it to sound. And essentially, it's when we define our when we think about our rollout timeline, our what, so the product or service we're offering, our what might be different based on what group ticket holder we're talking about. So again, our rollout timeline is going to be influenced or might be different based on what and who we're talking about. And really what we're getting at there is adopting that crawl, walk, run. And we preach it all the time. And I know it's incredibly cliche in saying it, but there's a reason why the crawl, walk, run mentality works. One this year, if anything, has presented us with a unique, slightly controlled environment, whether it's because of limited capacity with folks who are in our building, or just the general cover to try new things. We're moving away of somewhat of the not so helpful mindset that our sports industry partners have had of kind of this is just how we've always done things. We don't want to rely on that anymore. So when we think about our rollout timeline, again, considering what it is and who we're talking to, looking at some alternative events where smaller crowds are available. So some of our minor league ballparks, semi-professional venues this year that maybe weren't as active for our traditionally defined events, they were, had a unique opportunity to use FanFood or some sort of mobile technology for, let's say, a high school tournament, a dinner on the diamond, a drive-in theater, fireworks. So one, it provides us with revenue generating alternative events, but it also gives your team, your staff, and your community a chance to continue to grow their familiarity with this new way of ordering. And then maybe a bit more better articulated there, the second bullet point, roll out different services and features at different stages. And what I like to think about that then is, let's say game one, we're starting with our premium season ticket holders or our premium ticket holders are going to receive express pickup. That's our starting stage. Stage 2, we get some great feedback. We decide we want to grow the offering. So now, not only do just our premium ticket holders, but all season ticket holders are going to receive express pickup. At the same time, our premium buyers are also going to receive delivery. So you can see we're building on our what as well as our who, step by step. And in doing that, I think the important part of the customer feedback loop is that the feedback you're receiving is going to help drive your decision making and the direction that you're taking your product, your service, and your offering. And one way that we define this internally in our team is that being deliberate or intentional with communication is dialogue. So by being deliberate with your communication and those channels that you have, and we'll get into this with our how, but it creates the dialogue and allows us to assess what those customer demands are and those needs. Also, when we think about digital, and one of the benefits to technology or something mobile and ordering is we're learning more about our customers too, just by placing orders. We can start to track some of the inventory and the control pieces. We can start to compare higher performing concession stands. We talked about concourse space and repurposing space. Maybe our first baseline stand continually outperforms our third base stand. That might warrant moving some of our equipment over to the first base side, or finding an underutilized space or entry gate that we want to position a FanFood location or mobile ordering location to get folks to enter through that gate. And you can tell, I like going off and crazy with these ideas, but that's what's fun, is that it presents us with an opportunity to get very targeted and specific and use the customer feedback loop that we're hearing from our fans and our team to drive that decision-making and influence the rollout timeline that we put together. And being nimble here too. I mean, things are going to change. If there's one thing we learned, it's fluid.
Love your ideas, because a piece of technology is just technology, but it's really up to how people use it. And exactly. In your hands, you use it so well with our partners. It's absolutely incredible. I love this. All right, lastly, we have the how.
Awesome. And this is my little shout out to Isabella and our marketing team as well. Like Isabella so eloquently said there, actions or putting these practices into play without taking action does nothing for us. I think there's this easy mentality of planning and planning and planning and putting together a strategy, and then game day comes and we go, where is everyone? No one used this. So we need to be, again, deliberate in that communication structure, influencing the adoption of some of our customers to mobile ordering. So you can see some of those bullet points that we put down there, promoting the service before the event. That's a huge piece of our onboarding structure with new partners. Something that we continually say is that if a fan getting to the ballpark is the first time they're hearing about FanFood or any sort of digital technology initiative that you've taken on, we didn't do a good enough job of promoting and communicating that new offering. We also look at communication too, break that down, and the difference between communication and promotion and dialogue, and as you can see there, just disseminating information. COVID has created a ton of questions from fans and customers, and they want to get that information directly from you, from the source. So we want to be, quite frankly, intentional, again, with how we're using our CRM, if we have our CRM, and utilizing that with our email campaigns, utilizing our social media channels and our website to promote or communicate some of these new initiatives. I think strong communication creates that reassurance for our fans that they know what is available to them and can feel more comfortable when returning to your venue and your space. They want to know about the new advancements that you've made. So ultimately, we don't want to wait on building that communication, and even in some cases, that digital relationship. I think, to back that up or put your money where your mouth is sort of piece, we saw from a recent survey from Deloitte that fans who engage with a team or property, even if it's just one time a month, tend to spend 40% more than fans or customers who have no engagement over that similar period of time. And so I think that's incredibly powerful when we talk about, again, communicating, promotion, creating dialogue, using our channels effectively to do so, to increase engagement, which on the backside is going to help our user adoption rates. It's going to improve our fan experience and also lead to that increased per cap in spending of the folks who are in our venue.
So that's the how as to how to get people start using. I think many of you on the call will also be wondering, how does the mobile ordering system actually work? So we'll actually show you a quick demo later in the presentation. But right now, just as an overview, there are three pieces of tools or apps or technology, however you want to call it, to this ordering system. First up, we have the consumer app. That is for the customers to place an order. So they can either scan the QR code. If you are interested, you can actually pull up your phone and scan the QR code right now to see our web app, which means it opens up in your phone browser. So they can either open it up in their phone browser to order, or they can download the app from the App Store. So two ways, really capturing the audience from either way they prefer. The next piece is the manager portal. This is for the food and beverage staff. So as you can see from here, they can see all the orders that are coming in. They will grab and prepare the orders, and once it's ready, once they hit ready, the customers actually receive a real-time notification, be like, your order is being prepared, or your order is on the way. And they can, of course, refund, see all their order details, everything they need to do. It all happens in the manager portal, including store configurations, setting up different level of convenience fees or changing menu prices, everything. This is the command and control center. And lastly, we have the delivery app. This is a free app to download for your delivery staff. If you choose to offer in-seat delivery or delivery to table or to car or wherever you want on premise. So this is the app where the manager portal will be able to assign orders to different runners. The runners will grab the order, and once they fulfill the order, the tips will go directly into their bank account, which is connected to the app. So three pieces of softwares in this ordering system that are fully integrated. They speak to each other automatically, which means it really saves you time and manpower to do that communications had you had only a team of people without the tools. So that's a high-level overview. We'll show you a demo later on. Next up, so while working with our partners, we've noticed some common challenges that we see across markets and across different types of venues. We just want to highlight those now, just so that you can sort of expect what to anticipate and understand how these challenges have been overcome. Some common challenges we see, Wi-Fi connectivity is a big one, especially at stadiums or even driving theaters out there in remote places. How can I run the manager portal when my connectivity is not the best? And also user adoption, which Drake touched on a little bit. How do I get my customers to use this? And then higher charge per order. This is with most of the ordering softwares, you will have some sort of convenience fee or service fee, something like that, which will bump up the total order charge a little bit. Would that be a hindrance, And then lastly, hesitation to adopt a new system. Would my food and beverage staff, would my team be willing to learn how to operate a new software and learn a new way of doing things? Those are all some concerns that are pretty common. And Drake, do you want to talk about how we have been addressing them?
Yes, of course. So this slide, I would say, really falls very much in line with myself and what our account management or customer success team is focused on. And again, that's setting our partners up for success. Your success is our success, and that is honest to goodness. So when we think about some of these different challenges, or even, pushback in some cases that we get from new or incoming partners, connectivity is always a major one. And that goes for venues of all shapes and sizes and markets. I think it's something the industry is still working on getting past. Two ways that I typically will focus on connectivity. First is a little bit more black and white, and that's really, if we have strong Wi-Fi, fantastic. If we have Wi-Fi, we're good to go. If we don't have a strong Wi-Fi system, what's unique to FanFood Partners specifically is that our partners are going to have the ability to purchase hardware directly through us, which is fulfilled through our partnership with Samsung. What's great about this, as you can see listed, is that our hardware, so our Samsung devices and tablets, actually come with a prepaid data plan. So when we think about that twofold structure, if Wi-Fi is an issue, well, now we have cellular data as a backup plan for us. The third piece of the puzzle that we've really explored this year through 2020, and some of our partners have done this, and I'll preface this with, I don't have a super tech savvy background. So if this leads to questions, we'll have to direct it to our tech team specifically. But what we've seen is this ability to hardwire the tablet or device within the concession stand itself. And in a lot of cases, this is simply done through a direct Ethernet cord or connection itself. So first part, again, 3 ways to do it: Wi-Fi, cellular data service, or a hardwired connection in its own right. The second piece of that puzzle, and the mentalities here is, let's not wait on connectivity issues. And what I mean by that is we're really going to be doing ourselves a disservice, all of us in the partnership, if we are not testing our connectivity until it's game day. We don't want to get the call on game day that the tablet's in the stand or in the venue or wherever it might be, and we don't have a connection. So let's get out in front of that. Let's do some network testing. Let's figure out what network is going to be best for you guys. And let's figure out what of those 3 plans, Wi-Fi, cellular, or the hardwired connection, is going to be most applicable. So that would be our main idea with connectivity. Again, it is a case-by-case basis. So we handle that situation that way with our partners. Second part, and as Isabella mentioned, we talked a little bit about the user adoption piece previously. I think the one side of the argument that has certainly grown through COVID is this just general greater awareness post-pandemic. We're seeing those interactions in our daily lives continue to grow. And I say that outside of the venue. We're ordering our coffee from our home. We're having our groceries delivered directly to our house. Even pre-COVID, getting in someone else's car on the way to the airport. So we're using our phone to sort of go through many different electronic transactions and paying with our credit card directly. So what we're seeing is actually for our venue partners that were live through 2020, despite the stricter attendance, and maybe this plays into that controlled environment and ability to get innovative, but despite stricter attendance guidelines, we actually saw mobile usage grow, which is really powerful. And I think it combated in our industry this mindset or this fear around adopting new technology, maybe alienating some of our, and I say this politely, but some of our older customers in our smaller market. That is a real fear, of course. But the change in our awareness and receptiveness outside of the venue is actually leading to a real behavior change in venue. Another part of that, web-based ordering and QR code scanning to avoid app downloads. We get that all the time. I don't want to download an app. My customers, my fans, they don't use their phone. They don't want to download this app. Well, the benefit here is a web-based ordering system is the exact same mimicked experience as downloading the app. However, it is, like it sounds, via a website. So it's the same ordering experience, exploratory and going through the purchase process, but does not require downloading the app and taking up space, as we hear sometimes, on a user's phone. Some cases, when you tie this to connectivity, using a web-based ordering system also requires less bandwidth than downloading an app in a venue that might have poor connectivity or Wi-Fi to begin with. So that's a sidebar, but another benefit to web-based ordering. And then we see the QR code scanning become that effective vessel that eliminates friction and brings a user, a customer or fan, directly into your purchasing environment, exploring your menus, seeing what's available to them, and making the purchase itself. And how we do that, again, like our house slide, very much so falls in line with Isabella and her team and the marketing support that they've put together, the broad scaled catalog of in-venue legitimate physical assets that partners can be using in tandem with a completely complementary digital folder of email campaign templates, social media templates, graphics and GIFs and pre-approved logos that our current partners and their marketing teams will use to repurpose through their channels, which I think is fantastic to be able to use as we again, appropriately communicate the new offering. Higher charge per order. So the background here, and this goes for any bit of mobile payment, we do see with FanFood, or your customers will see an additional charge, a convenience fee is how they would define that on top of their order. So rightfully so, a lot of new partners have a concern or a fear that that additional charge or that charge on top of their order for the convenience will deter fans from using something like this. And again, there's a position of empathy here. You understand your market, your community, and your fans and customers, your parents better than I do or anyone on our team does. But in listening to your strategy and how you want to implement this, we can still provide the guidance and sort of the consultative approach to make sure we can address some of those concerns that you guys have. So firstly, broader speaking, we're seeing the appetite for live events continue to grow. Conversely, of course, when we come back to games, as fans come back, we want to be safe and have some of these convenient and premium experiences in place, but we want to come back. I thought it was telling, the CEO of Legends just recently was quoted saying, and let me make sure I get this right so I don't misquote him, maybe I'm paraphrasing, but essentially the desire to come back to venues, the desire to live and play an experience has never been greater. And it's a testament to, we want to get back. Of all the changes that we're seeing produced by COVID, there will never and will not be a substitute for in-venue hospitality, engagement, and coming to games. So the appetite is there. And when we couple that with the idea that in coming back, we want to feel safe and comfortable and have some of these premium experiences, we're seeing customers be willing to pay for the premium experience. And then lastly, and this is our favorite part for our partners that we saw live through 2020, is a garnered or general willingness of their customers and their community to want to support their business. When I make an order on FanFood and I tip on top of my order, I know that's going back to the team. When a parent places their order at the high school game, they know that that convenience fee, that additional charge they're paying for the convenience of the order is going back to the athletic department that supports their student athlete. So we've seen that really grow, that community aspect. And then finally, hesitation to adopt a new system. I think going back to what we mentioned earlier, kind of falls in line with the mentality of this is how we've always done things, which I understand, but we can't continue to rely on or fall prey to. We hear a lot of times that the change is just too risky, or we've had systems and practices in place, or I've had the team in place that has done this way for decades. We can't change it. It's also difficult when we think about concessions, historically speaking, for some of us is one of our sort of most poorly rated fan experience pain points. The idea, though, is when we think about these things is knowing that none of this changes unless we take action. If our plan is sort of to wait for things to return to normal, not so good, politely put. Things will not be normal again, or to what normal will they be? What we need to do is we need to plan accordingly. Whether we define this as pre and post COVID, we're living it. So we need to plan and we need to be nimble and we need to take action. To wrap that sort of sentiment up, one of my most compelling quotes that I recently heard on a thought leadership led by Sport Techie, another company, and this came from one of the leadership representatives at Samsung. He was quoted saying that errors of inaction are worse than errors of inaction. Or excuse me, as I just butchered that. Errors of inaction are worse than errors of action. Again, we can't fall prey to this mindset of this is how we've always done things. We need to make these changes, and we need to make these changes now, be nimble, and listen to our customers. At the same time, our team is here to help support you. Unlimited training for staff. We have an entire learning center of resources that we provide our teams complimentary. Our products, our suite of service, how you use this is completely user-friendly. I admitted it myself as someone who is part of this team is not super tech savvy, and I can teach how to use our product. So I think that speaks for itself as well.
Love that. So here's a quick video of how to fulfill orders. This is actually recorded by one of our account executives. His name is Jeff. He was actually in our previous webinar. So he recorded this during the webinar on how to actually place and fulfill an order, and we will play this video.
I'm going to walk you through the FanFood
for you. Wait.
I'm going to walk you through the FanFood app. So we have the FanFood app.
Wait, why does it keep? I
I'm
guess
gonna
I
walk
can.
you through
Okay.
the FanFood app. So we have the FanFood app, which is going to pull up all FanFood locations based off geolocation. So for your fans, your customers, they're going to be in attendance. They're going to have that pull up first. I'm going to walk us through a FanFood stadium experience. So once you select your venue, you're going to see all stores that FanFood is available. You can have North Bowl concessions, South Bowl concessions. This is a spot where you can add your own images. You can, of course, update which sections those are serving. You'll see an estimated pickup time, estimated delivery time. So your customers are going to see where that store is, what they offer, what the estimated pickup time is. You can also use it for suites, premium suites. A lot of our partners will offer a way to serve game day ordering for food and beverage through premium suites. Same thing for team stores. Great way to provide contactless options for merch. So everything will be laid out there. We'll go through the North Bowl concessions here. Up top, you're going to see pickup and then delivery. If you have delivery, it's going to prompt you to add your location. You also have the ability to set restrictions on certain parts of the stadium that you offer delivery. So we can set that for you in the back end of the system. Let's just focus on pickup for now. You pick up, and then everything's broken down nice and clean into different categories. Hot food, drinks, have the ability to purchase alcohol. Just have a two-step verification process. So you do click to confirm that you have your ID available. Add a beer to the bag. Combo functionality as well. So if you're offering any combos, you have the ability to do that. Select your item, you can add a drink to that. So again, everything laid out nice and clean. From there, we'll just proceed to checkout. It'll take you to your bag here. You can add or subtract items, proceed to payment. Again, I talked about that tipping function before. We see people are more than generous to add some tips. And then for your payment methods, you have Google or Apple Pay, whatever's already on your phone downloaded. Again, try making this as frictionless as possible. You don't have to pull out your credit card. You already have that payment set up. I have my credit card information saved on file here. And then that will take you down to the order summary, subtotal. That's the cost of all of your items. That's going to go directly back to you. Again, we are commission free, not dipping into your sales. And then once everything's looking good, you place your order there. On my phone, I have the ability to track the order. Just hit that here. And then that's going to communicate with the software that you have set up. So you see that order already came in to the North Bowl concessions. For your staff, all they need to do, they hit grab. We mentioned our receipt printer. Once you hit grab, that prints off the receipt. So you're going to have that come out there. And then on your phone, I'm receiving notifications. Right now, my order is being prepared for your staff. I'm going to move it to in progress orders. And so what they're doing, they're grabbing that beer, cheeseburger. They've got that cheeseburger combo. Once you have that ready to go, all you need to do, you hit ready. Sorry. And then on my phone, I receive notifications and also a text message. My order is ready to go. Go to North Bowl concessions. So now I'm running up to that concession stand. I show them my phone, let them know, hey, order for Jeff. Once you hand it off, you hit done. and then your dashboard is going to update. So that's where you're going to see all your sales there.
So that was a quick run through. As you can see, it's very easy to use. You don't need to be tech savvy to be able to click a few buttons and get the whole process done. So super easy, very intuitive. And how do we get started? Drake, do you want to talk about this or?
Yeah, of course. So as we see there, so with pricing, I think the main idea, and I don't want to overstep the boundary of one of our sales consultants, but the main idea here is that it's a flexible pricing model that is going to fit basically your why, the needs and wants that you're solving for. As we can see there, no upfront cost. We did talk a little bit about that small convenience fee. You can see we listed typically with our customers, that fee is going to be at a 12.5% charge on top of the order or per order back to the customer. But otherwise, even mentioned there from Jeff during our sales video, no commission shares as well. So revenue produced, sales made, it's going directly back to you guys. Next part, onboarding. That's where a lot of times our team comes into play. So getting you guys set up for success is the short answer there. Handling the platform configuration, which is a kind of a fancy way of saying we're going to handle the legwork for you guys. So if you've seen that the platform itself is designed to be incredibly user-friendly and intuitive, sort of empowering your team to get comfortable and familiar with how it works. But we're going to get you guys primarily set up and handle that legwork in the beginning. In fact, all that we need during that initial onboard stage to start to build out the foundation of your profile, sort of what Jeff had just shown us, is your menu, your items and pricing. That's all that our team needs to start getting you going. And then from there, we teach you how to continue to adjust, change, manipulate your offering that way. Hardware requirement, we talked a little bit about this as well. So one of the benefits when it comes to support and connectivity, certainly, is purchasing hardware directly through FanFood, fulfilled by our partners at Samsung. However, we have a ton of partners that already have hardware and devices on site. By that, maybe it's a high school and we have tablets or iPads that we can use on game day. If it's a venue, maybe we have our current POS or our laptop in the concession stand that we can be repurposing as well. I think, without getting into a ton of detail, what's great about our venue manager, which is what Jeff just showed you in terms of the button presses that the concession staff goes through, is that system is web-based. It is accessible via a URL. So it's not an app that you're using to manage orders and downloading on a specific device. Instead, you're able to access the venue manager from anything. That be, again, an iPad or tablet, a computer, a laptop. You are able to access that from a phone as well, but my recommendation there is to never rely on fulfilling orders from a phone because of the scaling and the image sizing. But my point ultimately is that we can access the backend system from any device, so there's no hardware requirement if it's something that your team already has. And then the simple to learn system, again, intended and designed to be very user-friendly. But our team, as part of our process, does provide you with unlimited hands-on training. So with myself or one of our counterparts, as well as an entire learning database and resources from PDFs and follow-along videos, checkpoints that you guys can be referencing and even sharing with your team as some of our part-time staff might shift and change and responsibilities are adjusted.
Yeah. So when it comes to adopting a new system, it can sound very intimidating, especially it's a technology tool. Like, what do we do about it? But our whole point is to make it as easy and quick for you to start as possible. Sometimes even within days, not making promises here for Drake's team, but just trying to take the heavy lifting off of our partners and make it as smooth an experience as possible. So here are some concrete steps as to how to get started if you are interested in learning more about FanFood or start using FanFood. So first up, all you have to do is set up an introductory call with one of our specialists, such as Jeff. So what you have to do is submit a form on this link. You can enter this in your URL in a browser right now to submit a form or do it later. But what it does is during that call, we will try to understand what your venue operations look like and see if it's a good fit for FanFood to be a part of your operations. And then we'll do a rollout strategy, which Drake will probably explain this better.
I think it's sort of what it sounds. I mean, that's when we would schedule our kickoff call, is what our team defines that in terms of the process and the step. But let's define your why, your who, what, when, where, and then how. How are we going to put this into action? And by doing so, we start to develop that strategic timeline as well.
And then we'll do the actual onboarding. So as Drake said, we do the legwork to set up your stores. You provide the menu, we'll train your staff and make sure that you're ready to go. And then we'll schedule the go live date. And we'll also have a check-in after that to see how everything goes. And we'll also have regular touch bases, I believe, Drake, with the accounts that he has. Regular touch bases to see what we can do better. Is there anything else that you need from us? What more support can we provide, be it marketing, be it product related, be it operations related, whatever it is. Anything to add to that? Did I give a good pitch?
No, I think you're exactly right. The idea being, we don't want your go live date to sort of seem like the end date. Oh, you're live, see ya. In fact, it sort of starts or initiates the new experience or the new partnership between our group and your group. So communication does not stop. Our team, and I'm very prideful in our tech and dev team in terms of the continued features and updates and developments that they're making. That warrants continued training from me to you and from our team to your team as well. Also, when we adopt that crawl, walk, run mindset, it is likely that things are going to come up, more assistance that you might need with marketing or communication. Maybe we want to begin to implement FanFood in additional concession stands even, or maybe we started with a general concession stand and we want to explore your premium seat or suite opportunity. So really just understanding that our relationship does not end when you start. In a sense, it kind of takes off even further.
Perfect. Yes, and that wraps up the bulk of the content for our live stream. As we mentioned, because you sign up for the webinar, we do have a special offer for you. Typically, we do have a small setup fee, but then we're waiving it for you because you sign up for this webinar. So if you submit the form on this link, again, you can do it right now. And we will be able to waive that and help you get started for free. And as we mentioned in the beginning of the live presentation, you will also be receiving a free guide to in-venue mobile ordering in 2021. So in there, we'll cover a lot of what we've talked about during this presentation, but also go more in depth with some concrete examples as to how you can specifically roll out mobile ordering at your venue and what are things and checklists that you have to follow. So that was the presentation. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them in the chat and we can answer them right now. Or if you don't have any questions, because we pretty much planted the questions during the presentation with the challenges that we typically see from our partners, which are most of the questions that we get for every single one of our webinars. So if you don't have any questions, that's totally fine. If you do, or even if you do after reading the free guide, you can always email marketing@fanfoodapp.com and we will be able to answer you in an email. And we also have appendix, which has even more resources and more information about our platform. This deck will be sent out after the presentation, so you will be able to see all this content. And maybe you have more questions, you can either schedule a call with us or email us. All right, so I'm seeing some questions coming in right now. I'm just gonna put them here so that we can all see it. So the first question is, how does this service work for walk-up ordering? Drake, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, I would say Traditionally speaking, walk-up is kind of viewed as our bread and butter, or a really fantastic starting point. When you think about what that process is, especially for, and let's look at the customer or the fan to begin with. Isabella and I are sitting in our seats. We'll just use a ballpark in our example. We're sitting in our seats, we scan a QR code, we're brought into that app profile or the menu. We can explore the concession stands available to us, as well as the menu items that are available. Let's say we find our hot dog and our popcorn and our soda. We can add that to our cart. We'll proceed forward with a fairly traditional checkout process as to what you've seen any other mobile purchase or online purchase that you've made. What's great here, and we didn't really talk about this from the tech side, but growth in mobile wallet payment as well. So you think about iPhone users having Apple Pay, Google users having, Android users having Google Pay, looking at some form of Venmo even as well. But getting back to the point, customer places the order. What happens now is that order is sent to your FanFood device. So whether or not you've purchased a device, a Samsung tablet directly through FanFood, or you had your own iPad, laptop, or tablet in the concession stand, you have now received that new FanFood order in your queue. You'll take the order through its fulfillment process, which is technically just 3 steps. You grab the order. You say that the order is ready for pickup. Once you've fulfilled the order, it's all bagged up in, let's say, a FanFood bag and ready to be picked up. And then finally, after the customer comes, Drake is notified of his order. He comes to the concession stand. Typically, we'll recommend setting up, if we have the space, a form of an express window. So let's say maybe we can repurpose what was traditionally one of our walk-up lines, a cashier or even a square line, to be an express line for users to completely walk up and bypass the line. As soon as I do so, though, the last button on your end would be hitting done. So that's the process for the customer, as well as a bit looking at the venue manager as well. Going to the second part of that question, will I need a separate ordering system, something like Square, in addition to FanFood? It's going to depend. The first part to there is FanFood operates completely separate. So to answer that question, I think a little bit more literally, no, you would not. But it also depends on what you're wanting to solve. So FanFood is going to allow for mobile-only orders. So if you're offering FanFood and only FanFood, we would, in other words, no longer offer a traditional walk-up customer. Everything is going to be contactless, touchless, and paying through the phone. So if you still wanted to service walk-up customers, I would recommend considering or keeping whatever your previous point of sale may have looked like, even if it's something just like Square.
Yes, and for walk-up orders, actually what we've seen is with some of our partners during the pandemic, where cashless, cash orders were not encouraged, and there was one partner called Beach Eats, which is a concession stand on a beach, actually. So what she did was she did not allow any cash orders, but for people lining up at the concession stand, she would display the QR code at the concession stand, be like, this is the way to order. Please don't pass me cash or card, but just place the order right then and there on the phone. And it only takes 1 minute. So it doesn't really matter. It's really just the customer placing an order on their phone. It doesn't really matter whether they're placing it from their seat or from a table or right there at the concession stand. It's a method of transaction. It's almost like a POS system for you, just without the cash or the card. So another question came in about, does FanFood integrate with POS systems? So the short answer is yes, we do. We have a partner called Jiao, and through Jiao, we're able to integrate into most cloud-based POS systems, I think over 50 or something. But it really depends on what kind of POS system you're using, and that's why we encourage you to have the introductory call with our specialists to figure out if we can indeed integrate into your POS system specifically. Here are just some examples of what we can integrate into. And we actually have some restaurant partners, and restaurants typically have their existing POS, like Rizzo's Bar and Inn here in Chicago, they have their Toast POS system, but they chose to integrate that with FanFood. That means in terms of data reporting, they can see everything on one dashboard. So orders coming through FanFood, orders coming through Toast, everything within one data reporting dashboard, so that everything is integrated and they don't have to separately look at different dashboards to be able to get that information. And also, as Drake mentioned, Jeff, actually, during the demo, the platform demo, we also have a receipt printer that can be integrated into our technology, which means every order that comes in will trigger the receipt printer to automatically print out a receipt that the kitchen can use, for example, to look at the order details and start preparing the order. Anything to add to that, Drake, about the POS question?
No, I think you nailed it. And also just emphasizing the printer add-on as a part of that suite of service. I think partners of ours that have started to implement the printer have seen a great sort of efficiency within their kitchen because of the communication between, let's say, our front of house and our kitchen staff itself. So the printer, like Isabella mentioned, being triggered, printing our ticket, and allowing our kitchen staff to prepare and fulfill the order while the front of house takes care of our front of house operations has been a major improvement.
Yeah, and all this information you can find in our appendix section. Oh, there's another one. When using the QR code, does the customer have to create an account? Oops. Sorry about that. So the answer is upon checking out. So it's not really about creating an account. It's more like upon checking out, the system will prompt the user to enter their phone number so that we can actually send you notifications about your order status and prompt you to enter your name. So short answer is it's very simple and quick. They don't have to create an account to place an order. And if they use their credit card for a web order, meaning they scan the QR code, open the website to place an order, the next time when they come back, because we recognize the same phone number, we will actually have the card information stored on file as well. So if they come back to place a second order, they don't have to do the extra work of entering the payment information again. So the whole solution is really designed for it to be as user-friendly as possible. Yes, any more questions? These are great questions, by the way.
Yeah.
Cool, if not, we're actually about time. We're at 2:02. So thank you everyone for joining us again, for kicking off the year strong. And we are looking forward to hearing from you. If you have more questions or are interested in learning about the platform, our team is on standby all the time. You will be talking with someone just like Drake or Jeff to learn about how to actually implement the mobile ordering at your facility. So thank you, and thank you, Drake, for joining me. We had a lot of fun, and I learned a lot from you.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for everybody who was willing to listen to a bit of rambling. But I think it comes from just a position of passion and sort of understanding the opportunity that's in front of us this year to get really creative and innovative and ultimately, improve upon and produce a pretty killer experience for our staff as we get back into buildings, as well as our fans and parents and students coming back out.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day and stay safe out there. Bye.